Because he's not playing Pedro tonight. He's playing Santiago.
All right.
It's all right.
You guys having a great day?
Yes, yeah, it's been really good.
So, interesting short film. Where did the original idea came from for this short film?
Is that mine for me?
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. It started off as a documentary project, actually, that followed the plight of Latino activists in Orange County, really sort of fighting for justice for their murdered friends Afuera Reyes, and unfortunately that documentary fell through, and I had the opportunity to meet Jennifer, who I was captivated by when she stepped in front of the camera. So I was like, Jennifer, why don't we do a scripted story based on those in your community? And so I brought Steven Canales, our writer, together, and we sort of sat down with the girls from the trans Latina community and just sort of workshop story, and then that's how it was all conceived.
Now, what was the attraction for you two to basically saying, hey, I want to do this?
Jennifer, yeah. They did as Steven saying, he shot Jennifer, and she gave him this amazing interview telling her life. And I remember that when he sent me the link, I watched it and I couldn't stop crying. It was so moving. It was a really inspiring story, and it was a no-brainer. I have to be a part of this.
But I remember they were trying to write something about a transgender women, and he was asking me something about my life, but I was like, no, there's more transgenders in my community. They have more interesting lives and more a life with more challenges. So that everything got together, and it took us to Afuera. So.
Well, Jennifer, how do you feel that everyone's crediting you?
I feel very, it's experience that I never had before. It's my first time feeling and hearing people saying those things about me, and it's I don't know. It's a very big. I feel like I have Afuera on my back, but it's a really nice feeling. I like to be part of Afuera, and I like to be an actress, but I don't like when they say it's all about you. It's all about you, but it's not all about me. It's about a true story about girls in my community.
But to Jennifer's credit, Jennifer is an incredibly talented actress, and Hollywood is always complaining about the lack of diversity in acting, the lack of trans talent, the active trans talent of color, when it's right in front of them. So I really feel like it's our responsibility as diverse filmmakers to really champion each other and bring each other up.
It's a big responsibility.
So it seems like there's a lot of realism or experiences associated with this. Could you talk a little bit more about that, Jennifer?
The sex working girls, and
or what you have encountered or talked to people before. That's what it sounds like to me, right?
Yeah. I find out that the human being has this survival instinct naturally. So they asked me this 2 days ago, is it normal for transgender women to be sex workers? Because that's the Afuera, what it's about. And I was like, it's natural for a human being to survive. So I heard that the 80% of women of color living in the United States, transgender women of color, white, black, Latinos, from Middle East and Asians, they practice the sex work because it's a way to survive. So the movie is about that because it's something normal for transgender women.
Now, this film is very, very diverse. Would you consider this more of a Latino film or more of a transgender type of film?
I will say transgender.
I mean, that's a great question. I feel like, personally, I think that films are diversifying, and it's getting much more difficult to classify them as just a Latino film, just a gay film, just an Asian film, for example. I think that the film really embraces sort of the multiplicity in Jennifer, the character's identity of being both not only undocumented but Latino, and not only undocumented Latino but also transgender. And I think that because it embraces the plurality in our identity, it actually makes it much more specific and universal for audiences. I firmly believe that those in both the Latino community and the queer community can relate to this film, and I think that anyone who's ever felt like an outsider can get something out of this film.
It's like a side that I never saw a movie showing this side of the transgender community, so that's good. I've been criticized for doing this character because they said it's not a good way to show a transgender woman, but it's a real way to show a real side to the society, a side that no one has shown before. So that's why I did it.
Now, you folks tackled a few topics on documentation, prostitution, transgender. Isn't that just a little bit too much all into one short film?
I think life is too much, so why not a short film? No, go ahead.
It did feel like, we're like dealing with a lot of issues here, but I think, well, at least from my point of view, to me it was always about the love story, and that made it less about the Latino community or the transgender community. It was like this love story and what they go through and what this girl has to sacrifice to live her truth. And ultimately, to me, that was what the movie is about, and the sacrifice that a lot of people that are in relationships with trans people, there is a struggle there that not a lot of people are aware of. So that was something that I really wanted to shine a light on.
What do you suppose is the greatest difficulty working on this short film?
Do you guys want to answer that?
Go ahead.
There's been, there's so many challenges, but also rewards. So I really have to think about that. I would say, like you mentioned, the short form is a challenging form. You have to tell a very concise story in a very short amount of time, and that was a back and forth between the writer and I. And luckily we had a very strong collaboration, and so I think it really worked out. And then another constraint was budget. We did the film, our production budget was like under 10K, and we shot in less than 4 days. So it was just problem solving left and right, putting out fires left and right, and also working with Jennifer. Our trans actresses have never acted before. Jennifer, Jimena, and Joanna, this is their first acting role. Yeah. and so the challenge for me as a director was sort of how do you nurture and engage them and push them in order to really perform to the best of their abilities. And that was challenging, but it was also very, very rewarding to me.
I think one of the other challenges is what you were talking about, like all these issues, like Latino, documented, transgender, like to put all those elements to work harmoniously was probably one of the biggest challenges, because you can go really easily to a cliche, to a stereotype about that. So that fine line was really, we had to be really careful about that.
Any possibilities of making this into a full feature film someday?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely in development. My writer Steven Canales and I are working on
producers. Hey, producers.
Yes.
Get us.
Yeah, and I would love to collaborate with Jennifer in the future. I think she's immensely talented, and Santiago as well. But he's in Colombia, so I don't know when I'm gonna see him again. Hopefully very soon. And so definitely a feature version of the story is in the near future.
Terrific. Let me start wrapping up. Could you guys, folks, talk about what some of your upcoming projects, or just going to relax?
Go ahead.
Upcoming projects. Well, actually, I'm an actor and I've been acting my whole life, but I decided to take a step back to start my own production company and create content, more content. That's what I'm focused right now, really. Creating more opportunities for me and other actors rather than just auditioning and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm continuing my school. I'm gonna finish my career first, and if I have an opportunity to act again, I will, because I love it.
Awesome.
Great. I'm working on the feature-length version of Afuera. I'm also developing a feature about the Chinese American mafia, and also a few short films I have in the works. So those are my projects.
Awesome. You guys sound very busy. And what, for audiences who will check out this short film, what is the primary message that you really want to send out there?
Wow.
Sends out a lot
Cool.
of messages.
I think it's like so big that it's hard to sum it up in words.
I think it's important to give an opportunity when you, like, basically now people, when they talk about transgender women, they relate the transgender women with the sex work, like with the Afuera movie. But there is always a reason for a girl to do whatever she does. So Jennifer in the character had her reasons. You know, she sacrificed everything for her reasons. So I think the only message I will say is that to open up our thoughts about transgender women. We are not all the same, and we are not going all to the same place. So.
Yeah, I think it's important people stop seeing trans women and trans people as like this kind of cliche, this kind of stereotype that we all have in our collective consciousness, and to start seeing them as people with real human experiences. And I think that's something you really get to see with Jennifer in her acting and in the whole movie. You really see her as a girl, as a regular girl, and I think that's really important.
Girl with dreams, like every transgender girl, every regular girl.
Every human being.
Terrific. Hey, awesome. Hey, thank you for this
You said it so
conversation.
well.
Thank you.
I know, right?
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Hi.